Imagine, the night is deep, the dawn of Earth's history is still far away. A tranquil desert plain 10,000 years in the past. The wind blows very softly, bringing with it the faint scent of wildflowers and the sound of distant falling water. You are sitting outside the mud hut of a Neolithic farmer. The sky is full of stars, and beneath them time seems still. Our question today is simple, yet its answer lies within a long, sluggish, and profoundly stable process. We want to know, how did humans domesticate the cat, and why did the same event occur twice in history? This is not a story of haste. It is not a story of hunting. It is a story of waiting and silent coexistence. It is a story that, as you listen, will make your eyelids heavy and you will drift into peaceful slumber. We will walk a long, stable path. In the first phase, we will journey to the far-off fertile crescent of the Middle East. Then we will slowly make our way to the sacred doors of the ancient Egyptian civilization. We will see how a wild, cautious hunter slowly became a leisurely, calm companion on our hearth. This was a domestication where humans did not tame the cat. Rather, the cat selected the human for its own advantage. Be calm. Close your eyes. This story will begin slowly and continue even slower. This long process is guiding you towards deep, uninterrupted rest. Phase 1. The first silent treaty in the green. The time is approximately 10,000 years ago. It is the era when humans first abandoned the hunter-gatherer life and began agriculture. This was a massive, still change in human history. Humans were no longer constantly chasing food. They settled in one place, they sowed grain, and they stored that grain in clay pots or in the dry corners of their huts. These grain stores were stable assets, and the silent scent of this wealth attracted a certain type of rat and small rodent. And the sluggish movements and easy availability of these rodents attracted a cautious small hunter. That hunter's name was Felis sylvestris libica, the African wildcat. These wildcats were extremely wary. They would not approach humans, but the abundance of rodents near the granaries gave them a kind of stable attraction. Humans were a type of large, lazy animal who sat quietly or worked slowly by the grain stacks all day. Humans did not put much effort into catching the rodents. Thus began the first silent treaty in the grain. These wildcats began to roam the vicinity of human granaries. They hunted the rodents, but they avoided the humans. They maintained a distance, but that distance was stable. Humans watched as these small hunters caught the mice. Humans saw that their valuable grain was now somewhat protected. Humans slowly began to silently accept the presence of these cats. This acceptance was a long, sluggish process that did not happen in a day. It was a silent test that continued for years, generation after generation. The cats that were slightly less wary of humans got more opportunities to hunt rodents. The humans who did not drive these cats away found their grain protected more. Nature was silently selecting those cats that were not afraid to stay near humans. Initially, humans gave the cats no food. The cats' food was their own prey. This treaty was strictly commercial. The cat protected the grain, and in exchange, it found its own sustenance. The entire process of this coexistence was still, silent, and extremely monotonous. Only the sluggish movement of the rodents and the cat's calm, wary presence, this was the story of that time. Your mind is now in the depth of that silence. The faint, dry scent of that grain sow is calming you. You are now feeling that silent treaty which began 10,000 years ago. This stillness is guiding you towards deep rest. Phase 2. The slow genetic evolution and the selection of the brave. This silent treaty was not merely a behavioral change, it was a long, slow journey of genetic transformation in the cat. This evolution was extremely sluggish, testing our patience even further. The wild cats that could tolerate human proximity possessed a kind of bravery and nervous calmness. They were less wary and less aggressive than other wild cats. On this long path of evolution, only these brave cats survived and reproduced. Their genes, which reduced their fear of humans, slowly began to spread throughout the entire population. This genetic change was like the stable flow of time. No change came in a single day. It was the summation of small changes over thousands of years. Each generation was slightly less afraid of humans than the previous one. These small differences, accumulated over time, gave birth to an entirely different animal known as Felis catus. Scientists have linked this change to a specific gene that affects the cat's nervous system. This gene slowly changed due to its proximity to humans. This change was a stable consent given by the cat. They were changing themselves because the economic benefit of staying near humans was far greater. These cats were wild, but they were opportunistic. They leisurely hunted rodents, slept near human granaries, and calmly reproduced. This stable way of life freed them from the instability of a hunter's existence. Humans did not even notice this change. They simply saw that the cats were coming around more often and the rodent problem was diminishing. This silent, stable genetic change is helping you sink deeper into more peace. Your mind is now calm, aware only of the gentle, stable pace of evolution.
Introduction: A sleeping hunter on the edge of history. Imagine this. The night is deep. The beginning of Earth's history is still far away. It is a quiet desert expanse from about 10,000 years ago. The air is moving very slowly, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of water from a spring. You are sitting outside a primitive farmer's mud hut. The sky is full of stars, and beneath those stars, time seems to stand still. Our question today is simple, but its answer lies within a long, slow, and extremely stable process. We want to know, how did humans domesticate the cat? And why did this very same event happen twice in history? This story is not one of rushing. It is not one of hunting. It is a story of waiting and silent coexistence. This is a story that, as you listen, will make your eyelids grow heavy and you will drift into quiet sleep. We will walk a long, steady path. In the first part, we will travel to the distant Fertile Crescent region of the Middle East. Then, we will slowly begin our journey to the sacred doors of ancient Egyptian civilization. We will observe how a wild, cautious hunter slowly became a lazy, calm companion on our home floor. This was a form of domestication where humans did not conquer the cat. Rather, the cat chose humanity for its own benefit. Be calm. Close your eyes. This story will begin very slowly, and it will continue even more slowly. This prolonged process is guiding you toward deep, uninterrupted rest. Part 1. The first silent treaty in the grain stack. The time is about 10,000 years ago. This is the era when humans first abandoned the hunter-gatherer lifestyle and began farming. It was a massive, steady transformation in human history. Humans were no longer relentlessly chasing food. They had settled in one place. They planted grain, and they stored that grain in clay pots or in the dry corners of their huts. These grain stores were stable assets, and the silent scent of this wealth attracted a certain type of mouse and small rodent. and the slow movement and easy availability of these rodents attracted a cautious, small hunter. The hunter's name was Felis sylvestris liviaca, the African wildcat. These wildcats were extremely wary. They would not approach humans, but the abundance of rodents near the grain stores provided them with a kind of stable attraction. Humans were a kind of large, lazy creature who sat silently or worked slowly beside the grain piles all day. Humans did not exert much effort to catch the rodents. Thus began the first silent treaty. The cats began to roam near the human stores. They caught rodents, but they avoided humans. They maintained a distance, but that distance was stable. Humans observed that these small hunters were catching the rodents. Humans observed that their valuable grain was now somewhat protected. Humans slowly began to silently tolerate the presence of these cats. This acceptance was a long, slow process. It did not happen in one day. It was a silent trial that continued for generations over the course of years. The cats that were slightly less cautious of humans had more opportunity to catch rodents. The humans who did not chase these cats away had their grain protected more effectively. Nature was silently selecting those cats that were not afraid to stay near humans. Initially, humans did not provide the cats with any food. The cats' food was their own prey. This treaty was strictly commercial. The cat protected the grain, and in return, it found its own sustenance. The entire process of this coexistence was still, silent, and extremely monotonous. Only the slow movement of the rodents and the cat's calm, cautious presence, this was the story of that time. Your mind is now in the depth of that silence. The faint, dry smell of the grain store is calming you. You are now sensing that silent treaty which began 10,000 years ago. This stillness is leading you toward deep rest. Part 2. The slow genetic evolution and the selection of the brave. This silent treaty was not merely a behavioral change. It was a long, slow journey of genetic evolution in the cat. This evolution was extremely sluggish, which will test our patience even further. The wild cats that could tolerate being near humans possessed a certain bravery and nervous calmness. They were less wary and less aggressive than other wildcats. On this long evolutionary path, only these brave cats survived and reproduced. Their genes, which minimized fear of humans, slowly began to spread throughout the entire population. This genetic change was like the stable flow of time. No change occurred overnight. It was the summation of small changes that continued for thousands of years. Each generation was slightly less afraid of humans than the previous generation. These minor differences over time added up to give birth to a completely different animal, known as Felis catus. Scientists have linked this change to a specific gene that affects the cat's nervous system. This gene slowly altered due to prolonged proximity to humans. This change was a stable consent given by the cat. They were changing themselves because the economic benefit of being near humans was far greater. These cats were wild, but they were opportunistic. They lazily hunted rodents, slept near human stores, and quietly reproduced. This stable lifestyle freed them from the restlessness of their solitary hunter lives. Humans barely noticed this change. They merely observed that the cats were coming around more often and the rodent infestation was diminishing. This silent, stable genetic change is helping you sink deeper into more tranquility. Your mind is calm. Only the gentle, steady pace of evolution. Part 3. Humans' silent utility and cats' stable acceptance. The first domestication process was a form of silent utility from the human perspective. Humans did not actively try to domesticate the cats. They domesticated dogs forcibly, using them for hunting, but they did not teach cats any tasks. Humans merely provided them with a place to stay and piles of grain. The cats accepted that offer on their own terms, for their own benefit. This acceptance was stable. Once they realized that hunting rodents near humans was easier and safer, they had no desire to return to the wild forests. This coexistence was a kind of stable laziness. The cats lazily rested near the grain stores. They hunted only as necessary, and humans lazily enjoyed the cat's presence. This idleness was beneficial for both parties. Humans received pest control without any labor, and the cats received safe shelter and a stable supply of food. This stable acceptance proves that cats were the first animals in history to accept human company on their own terms. They did not completely lose their freedom. They merely dedicated a portion of their lives to humans in a stable manner. This stability was the core foundation of this relationship. This silent utility and stable acceptance are guiding you deeper and deeper. The cat's calm presence, the human's steady silence, everything is helping you rest. This long, stable process is lulling you into deep, uninterrupted sleep. Part 4. The first evidence, the cypress burial, and the stillness of time. The first archaeological evidence of this long process is extremely important to us.
The cat's journey from a utility animal to a mystical entity was a process of slow cultural drift that spans centuries, a narrative marked by stable, repeated appearances in human mythologies across Eurasia. After the decline of the great empires, the cat's role in folklore shifted, often reflecting the deep-seated human fear of the night and the unknown. This stable, yet often contradictory, mythological evolution is a quiet pathway to rest. In various early European and Slavic traditions, the cat became intrinsically linked with the home's hearth and its protective spirit, the domovik. The belief was that when a family moved to a new house, a cat should be sent in first. The cat's cautious entry and its stable, unhurried assessment of the new space were thought to appease the domovik, or the spirit of the new dwelling. The cat's subsequent quiet settling and its long periods of sleep symbolized the successful establishment of peace and domestic stability in the new home. This ritual, repeated across countless peasant families, was a stabilizing anchor for the cat's role in daily life, confirming its utility not as a simple mouser, but as a spiritual compass. Yet this stable reverence coexisted with deep suspicion. As Christianity became the dominant force in Europe, the cat's association with ancient pagan goddess worship, like the Nordic Freya, who rode a chariot pulled by cats, became a source of conflict. The cat's nocturnal habits, its silent movements, and its eyes that seemed to glow in the dark
led to its incorporation into the growing narratives of witchcraft and dark arts. The black cat, in particular, became a stable, negative symbol, often seen as a witch's familiar or a manifestation of the devil. This transition from sacred to scorned was slow. It was not a sudden dramatic event, but a gradual, quiet accumulation of whispered fears over many generations. People continued to keep cats because of the ever-present threat of rodents, but they did so with a newfound caution. This duality, the need for the cat's stable service versus the fear of its stable connection to darkness, is a deep, quiet paradox. This slow cultural drift, the stable presence in quiet homes, and the conflicting whispers of folklore are gently guiding you deeper into stillness. Your mind is quiet. Only the ancient, steady rhythm of mythological transformation remains. 12th chapter. The monastic silence and the cat's steady service. During the Middle Ages, a significant chapter in the cat's history unfolded within the quiet walls of European monasteries. These monasteries were centers of knowledge, housing immense libraries of manuscripts, which of course were also prone to rodent damage. The cat's presence here was a testament to its purely stable utilitarian function, removed from much of the surrounding superstition. The life of a monastic cat was one of profound silence and stillness, mirroring the lives of the monks themselves. These cats resided in the scriptoriums and libraries, their primary task being the protection of priceless vellum and parchment from mice. The survival of vast swaths of classical and religious texts can in part be attributed to the cat's silent, steady service. A cat lying asleep on a pile of scrolls, its tail curled in perfect stillness, became a stable, accepted image within the monastic environment. The monks, dedicated to quiet contemplation and repetitive labor, saw the cat's focused hunting and long periods of calm rest as natural complements to their own disciplined existence. The cat was a creature of routine, its quiet movements breaking the silence only when necessary. There are even records of medieval monks writing small, affectionate poems in marginalia about their feline companions, noting their dedication and their soft purring during the long, cold nights. This stable, documented relationship highlights an enduring practical respect that transcended the fear present in the secular world. The long hours of quiet copying in the scriptorium, the soft turning of parchment pages, and the cat's steady purr in the background, these elements of stable monastic life are lulling you into deep rest. Your mind is quiet. Only the ancient, steady rhythm of mythological transformation remains. 13th chapter. The scientific stagnation and the cat's physical form. Interestingly, despite the cat's stable presence in human settlements for millennia, its physical form underwent very little scientific or human-directed change during the vast stretch of history from its first domestication up until the modern era. This physical stagnation is a remarkable feature of the cat story. Unlike the dog, which humans actively manipulated to create hundreds of breeds for specialized tasks, herding, hunting, guarding, etc., the cat's physical evolution was largely left to its own stable, natural trajectory. The ancient African wild cat, the Egyptian temple cat, the medieval Mauser, and the modern domestic shorthair all share a remarkable, stable uniformity in body structure, size, and function. The cat was already perfectly optimized for its singular task of small prey hunting. Humans did not need to engineer a cat with longer legs to run faster or a thicker coat to withstand colder climates aggressively. The cat simply adapted its stable, core Felis sylvestris form to new environments through natural selection, a process far slower and more stable than human intervention. Its stable physical form reflected the stability of its role, mousing. This period of physical stagnation demonstrates the cat's unique position. It did not have to earn its place through constant change or adaptation to human demands. It simply was, and its stable form was sufficient. This biological stillness, where an entire species remained largely unaltered for thousands of years, is a deep, quiet truth. The unchanging shape of the cat's paw, the stable alignment of its spine, the predictable arc of its jump, this physical constancy is a repetitive, calming thought. Your body is becoming still, mirroring the cat's stable form through history. The cat's journey towards stable coexistence did not end with the physical world. It continued its quiet conquest into the digital age. In a world defined by fast pace, noise, and constant change, the cat became the ultimate stable icon of tranquility and viral stillness. This phenomenon is a subtle yet powerful chapter in its ongoing domestication. The image of a cat, lazily stretching, calmly sleeping, or simply staring into the middle distance, provides a stable, repetitive source of comfort for millions of humans globally. Its stable, predictable behaviors are amplified and shared across the internet, offering brief, quiet pauses in the human mind's relentless activity. The cat, in its digital form, serves the same ancient purpose, a silent, constant counterbalance to human anxiety, now scaled to a global level. This stable presence on screens worldwide reinforces the emotional contract established over millennia. The cat is admired for its lack of effort, its refusal to hurry, and its complete commitment to stillness. It is a stable symbol of anti-productivity in a hyper-productive world. Its enduring popularity confirms the deep, stable human need for a reminder of nature's simple, slow rhythm. The constant, yet calming flow of cat images and videos is a gentle, stable rhythm for your mind. This quiet digital conquest is guiding you deeper into stillness, where the noise of the modern world fades and only the stable image of the resting cat remains. 18th chapter. The cat's unwavering independence and the lesson of rest. One of the most stable and enduring traits of the cat throughout its history is its unwavering independence. Unlike the dog, which thrives on human validation and direction, the cat offers its affection on its own terms and schedule. This independence is a crucial element of the cat's therapeutic stability. The cat teaches humans the lesson of rest without guilt. Its long periods of deep sleep, often reaching 16 hours a day, are not a sign of laziness, but a biological imperative, a stable, necessary rhythm. For humans, whose rest is often dictated by clocks and demands, the cat's commitment to self-care is a profound, silent example. When the cat chooses to nap, the house is calmed, the atmosphere is stilled. The cat's independence creates a stable, quiet space in the human relationship. There is no constant demand for attention or interaction. The cat can be present, silent, and entirely self-contained. This allows the human to also be present, silent, and self-contained without the pressure of constant performance. This quiet, stable freedom is the deepest comfort the cat offers. This lesson of unwavering, independent rest is a gentle, repetitive thought. The stable autonomy of the cat is encouraging your own body to let go of tension and embrace a deep, quiet rest. 19th chapter. The sound of purring and the stable frequency of healing. The sound of the cat's purr is perhaps the most direct, stable link between the cat's history and its therapeutic effect on modern humans. The purr is a stable, low-frequency vibration, typically between 25 and 150 hertz. This range is scientifically proven to promote bone density, muscle healing, and pain relief. For the cat, purring began as a stable form of communication between a mother and her kittens, a signal of safety and contentment. Over time, it became a stable mechanism for self-healing and pain management. When a cat purrs, it is establishing a stable internal frequency of well-being. For the human, this low, stable vibration is profoundly soothing. It is a sound that cuts through mental noise, offering a stable point of focus. It is the sound of ancient comfort, the quiet rhythm of the first silent treaty now translated into an auditory healing frequency. The purr is a stable acoustic anchor in a chaotic world. The deep, continuous vibration of the purr, the stable frequency of the sound, and the quiet assurance of safety it conveys, all of this is lulling you into the deepest, most tranquil rest. Listen to the stable sound of healing and let your body sink deeper into stillness. 20th chapter. The unbroken lineage and the conclusion of stable time. The final conclusion of the cat's two-part domestication is the realization that the stable flow of time has brought the cat full circle. The creature that began as a wild hunter on the periphery of human settlement has ended as a pampered companion at the very center of the human home, yet its core essence remains stable. The cat represents an unbroken lineage, a thread of biological and behavioral stability stretching back 10,000 years. Its history is a quiet testament to the power of slow, steady coevolution, proving that the most successful relationships are not based on dominance, but on mutual, stable benefit and silent respect. The long, slow story of the cat is now complete. All the thousands of years, the trade routes, the deities, the quiet monasteries, and the digital screens, all of it culminates in this present moment of stillness. The cat is sleeping. Time is stable. There are no more chapters. There are no more journeys. There is only the stable, quiet presence of the companion you welcomed into your life thousands of years ago. Let the final stability of this long history wrap around you. Your thoughts are now calm. Your breathing is slow and steady. There is only deep, continuous silence and stable comfort. Sleep now.
21st chapter. The physics of napping and the stable temperature. The cat's masterful ability to nap is a fundamental component of its stable influence on human well-being, a phenomenon rooted in the physics of stable temperature regulation. The cat's search for the perfect nap spot is a quiet daily ritual that brings stillness to the human observer. The cat is a creature keenly aware of stable ideal temperatures. Its internal body temperature is naturally higher than that of a human, leading it to constantly seek out sources of stable, gentle warmth.
a patch's sun on the floor, the top of a radiator, a warm laptop, or, most commonly, a human lap. This quest for warmth is a predictable, stable routine that anchors the household's rhythm. When the cat settles, its presence creates a stable, localized warm spot, often referred to as a cat patch. This warmth is transferred to the human, physically calming the muscles and encouraging a state of rest. The cat's deep, steady sleep, in turn, radiates a sense of profound security, a stable tranquility that the human mind unconsciously absorbs. This physical stability, the consistent warmth, the steady breathing, the low purr, is the cat's final, quiet contribution to human domestication. This gentle warmth, the stable weight of the sleeping cat, and the quiet consistency of its breathing, all these physical constants are now enveloping you, guiding your body into a deep, unwavering rest. 22nd chapter. The silent language of slow blinks and unconditional acceptance. The cat communicates its deepest form of trust and stable affection through the slow blink. This ancient, quiet gesture is a final, subtle element of the long domestication process. When a cat slowly closes and then opens its eyes while looking at a human, it is demonstrating a complete willingness to be vulnerable, a stable acknowledgement of safety. For the cat, closing its eyes, even momentarily, is an act of trust. It is dropping its guard. The return of this gesture by the human, the mirroring of the slow blink, establishes a stable, nonverbal connection, a bond built not on command and obedience, but on mutual, quiet understanding. This stable language needs no words, no sudden movements, only patience and stillness. This slow blink interaction is a final reinforcement of the emotional contract. The cat offers unconditional, stable acceptance, requiring nothing more than a quiet, reciprocal acknowledgement of trust. This complete, silent acceptance is a powerful antidote to the complex, noisy demands of human social interaction. The deep, quiet trust of the slow blink, the stable feeling of unconditional acceptance, and the calming absence of noise, these silent affirmations are settling your mind, preparing it for the deep stillness of sleep. 24th chapter. The repetitive ritual of grooming and mental stillness. The cat's meticulous and repetitive grooming is a stable, self-soothing ritual that contributes significantly to the calm atmosphere of any space it inhabits. The act of licking, washing, and smoothing its fur is a time-consuming, predictable process that occupies a substantial portion of the cat's waking hours. This repetitive action, often performed with closed eyes in a state of deep concentration, is a form of stable feline meditation. The rhythmic sound of the tongue against the fur, the steady movement of the paws, and the complete temporary immersion in this task are sensory constants. When a human observes this, the brain subconsciously adopts this stable rhythm. The cat is cleaning itself, but it is also cleaning the air around it of restlessness. The predictable nature of the grooming ritual becomes a stable external rhythm for the human mind, encouraging it to release its own chaotic internal rhythm. The cat's dedication to this slow, repetitive task is an invitation to mental stillness. The gentle, steady sound of the cat's grooming, the predictable movements, and the stable focus on the simple task, all these repetitive sounds are now echoing softly in your mind, easing you toward a deep, unbroken rest.
'26th chapter, The Geometry of Repose and the Stable Coil. The cat's ability to find and assume a state of perfect repose is a fundamental component of its stable, calming influence, often demonstrated through the stable coil. The cat's curled up form is a lesson in the simple, stable geometry of maximum warmth and security. When the cat curls into a tight ball, nose tucked into tail, it minimizes the surface area exposed to the air, thus efficiently maintaining a stable body temperature, a primal instinct carried over from its desert origins. This form is not random. It is a stable, perfected geometry of rest, a visual representation of biological stability and contentment. For the human observer, the stable coil is profoundly reassuring. It signifies that the cat feels entirely safe, unthreatened, and completely at rest. The sight of this stable, compact form induces a mirroring state of stillness in the human mind. The perfect circle of the sleeping cat becomes a stable focal point, a silent counterpoint to the sharp, angular stresses of human life. This silent, stable geometry is a deep form of visual therapy. The perfect, stable curve of the cat's body, the quiet efficiency of its warmth, and the complete stillness of its repose. These geometric constants are soothing your mind, guiding you toward the deepest, most stable rest. 27th chapter, The Stable Migration of Hair and the Mark of Ownership. The stable, continuous shedding of cat hair is a final, subtle element of the long domestication process, a physical, quiet mark of ownership placed upon the human world. While often seen as an annoyance, the ubiquitous presence of cat hair on clothing, furniture, and personal items is in fact a stable biological reminder of the emotional contract. The hair migrates slowly, steadily, and inevitably. It travels on air currents, adheres to fabric, and is carried into every corner of the human's life. This stable, physical dispersal is a quiet declaration that the cat is a permanent, integrated part of the human habitat. It is the cat's final, subtle way of marking its territory, claiming the human and their possessions as its own domain. For the human, encountering a stable strand of cat hair on an otherwise pristine item becomes a gentle, familiar intrusion, a stable link to the warmth and comfort waiting at home. It is a quiet, steady assurance that the cat's stable presence continues even when the cat is out of sight. This small, stable piece of the cat serves as a psychological anchor. The soft, stable presence of the cat's hair, the quiet reminder of its permanent residence, and the gentle consistency of its dispersal. This stable reality is calming your thoughts. All resistance is fading, replaced. 31st chapter, The Physics of the Purr's Stability and the Bone-Deep Calm. We return to the phenomenon of the purr,
focusing now on the physics that solidify its role as the cat's most profound and stable therapeutic offering. The low-frequency vibration of the purr is not merely a pleasant sound. It is a stable, measurable, physiological input that fosters bone-deep calm in both the cat and its human companion. Research into bioacoustics confirms that sound frequencies between 20 and 50 hertz are optimally conducive to bone healing and cell regeneration. The cat's purr, which predominantly operates within the 25 to 150 hertz range, with particularly strong harmonics in the lower frequencies, is a stable, self-administered therapy. When a cat purrs, it is establishing a stable, internal rhythm that actively promotes its own skeletal and muscular health. When a human holds a purring cat, the body absorbs this stable, low-frequency vibration. This is not mystical. It is a stable transfer of kinetic energy. The consistent rhythmic nature of the purr bypasses the frantic, high-frequency signals of human stress and anxiety, replacing them with a stable, primal rhythm of safety. The purr is a sonic anchor, a stable, repetitive sound that tells the ancient parts of the human brain, all is well, rest is safe. The steady, low thrum of the purr, the stable frequency that encourages deep healing, and the quiet consistency of the sound, these are the stable forces that now guide your mind and body into an ultimate deep stillness. 32nd chapter. The stable aesthetics of the tail and emotional barometry. The cat's tail is a stable, expressive tool, a quiet barometer of its emotional state, which subtly contributes to the overall tranquility of the home. The tail's movements are slow, deliberate, and predictable, offering a stable, non-verbal communication that bypasses the need for noisy interaction. When the cat's tail is held high and stable, with perhaps a slight, gentle hook at the very tip, it signifies stable contentment and quiet confidence. When the tail wraps slowly around a human's leg, it is a stable physical declaration of belonging and trust. These movements are never frantic. They are a stable language spoken in the slow rhythm of muscle and bone. Conversely, the slow, stable twitch of the tail's tip, while the rest of the body is still, signifies quiet concentration or minor irritation. It is a stable, contained signal that the cat is processing the environment without resorting to disruptive movement or sound. The human learns to read the stable language, anticipating the cat's needs without conversation, thereby maintaining the stable, quiet atmosphere of the home. The slow, stable sweep of the tail, the quiet confidence of its high carriage, and the gentle, stable communication of its movement, these visual constants are settling your mind. Your thoughts are becoming as smooth and stable as the cat's gentle tail. 35th chapter. The repetitive ritual of the stable scratch post. The cat's instinctual need to scratch, a behavior carried over stably from its wild past, has been channeled into the stable domestic ritual of the scratch post. This ritual is a quiet, rhythmic act of both self-care and territorial marking. Scratching serves multiple stable functions. It sharpens the claws, stretches the muscles, and crucially, releases pheromones from glands in the paws. These pheromones leave an invisible, stable set marking declaring the territory safe and familiar. The scratch post becomes a stable, fixed point in the room, a pillar of feline confidence. The sound of the scratching, a repetitive, rhythmic tearing sound, is a unique auditory constant. It is not aggressive. It is a stable, contained expression of power and territorial surety. For the human, this predictable, rhythmic sound offers a momentary, quiet reminder of the cat's fundamental wildness, safely contained within a stable domestic boundary. The rhythmic, repetitive sound of the scratching, the stable engagement with the fixed object, and the quiet assurance of territorial marking, this stable ritual is guiding your mind toward a deep, quiet space of security and ease. 35th chapter. The stable gravity of sleep and the lesson of the sunbeam. The cat's relationship with sunbeams is a stable, predictable ritual that reinforces the lesson of appreciating simple, fixed environmental comforts. This ritual is a quiet, daily alignment with natural forces. As the sun moves across the sky, casting its light through windows, the cat performs a slow, stable migration, moving only as fast as necessary to remain within the warmest patch of light. This stable, slow pursuit of the sunbeam is a visual metaphor for a life lived in perfect, unhurried harmony with natural light and warmth. When the cat settles within the sunbeam, it enters a state of deep, motionless rest, a state of stable gravity where all tension is released. The combination of heat and immobility creates a perfect image of tranquility, a stable moment of pure, uninterrupted existence. The human observing this is subtly taught to seek out and appreciate these small, stable moments of warmth and stillness. The gentle, stable warmth of the sunbeam, the slow, predictable movement of the light, and the cat's complete surrender to its stable comfort, these elements are easing the last tensions from your body. You are sinking into the deep, quiet gravity of sleep. Sleep now. 36th chapter. The stable cadence of feeding and the trust contract. The ritual of feeding is one of the most stable and defining aspects of the cat's modern domestication, solidifying the trust contract between human and feline. This daily cadence is a predictable, quiet anchor in the rhythm of the household. For the cat, the stable time of feeding is the ultimate proof of the human's commitment to the ancient treaty. The consistent appearance of food at a predictable time eliminates the need for the cat to worry about scarcity, freeing its mind from the anxieties of the wild. This stable predictability allows the cat to dedicate its focus to rest and companionship. The human's simple, stable action of preparing and presenting the food is a quiet, repetitive act of service. It requires no complex conversation or grand gesture, merely the stable, timely fulfillment of a promise. This stable cadence of nourishment reinforces the cat's passive role as the protected party and the human's active role as the provider. The stable sound of food being poured into a bowl is a soothing, auditory signal of security and constancy. The stable predictability of the feeding schedule, the quiet assurance of sustenance, and the simple, repetitive act of service. This stable cadence is calming your inner anxieties about the future. Your mind is being lulled by the quiet certainty of provision. Thirty-seventh chapter. The stable form of the window watch and contemplation. The cat's long, motionless vigil at a window is a stable, daily ritual of quiet contemplation, a form of focused meditation that stabilizes the energy of the room. This stable activity is a subtle yet profound element of its domestic role. The cat will often occupy a stable, preferred spot near the window, gazing outward for extended periods with unwavering focus. This gaze is not restless. It is a stable, deep contemplation of the outside world, a quiet acknowledgement of the boundary between the wild and the safe domestic space. The cat is performing a stable assessment of its territory, confirming the continued safety of its domain. For the human, the sight of the cat's motionless vigil encourages a mirroring stillness. The cat provides a stable, visual cue to slow down and observe the world without the need for engagement or action. It is a quiet lesson in the power of observation and the tranquility found in simply being present. The cat's stable presence at the window acts as a quiet guardian and a stable point of focus for the human mind. The motionless focus of the cat's gaze, the stable contemplation of the outside world, and the quiet assurance of the domestic boundary. This stable stillness is easing your mind into deep, restful meditation. 31st chapter. The stable soundscape of domesticity and the quiet thud. The cat's influence on the stability of the home extends beyond the visible and the purr, reaching deep into the quiet soundscape of domesticity. The sounds a cat makes are stable, low-volume signals that punctuate the deeper silence, reassuring the human mind that all is well without being disruptive. This stable auditory rhythm is a crucial component of its calming effect. Listen closely to the quiet noises of the cats. It is the soft, almost imperceptible thud as the cat lands on the carpet, a sound that speaks of stable muscle control and complete confidence. It is the gentle click of its claws retracting as it steps onto a wooden floor, a rhythmic, predictable sound that confirms its presence without announcing it loudly. It is the stable, low mrr of greeting, a noise reserved specifically for the trusted human, never shouted, always murmured. These sounds are not chaotic. They follow a stable, ancient cadence. The cat does not rush its movements or its vocalizations. Each sound is measured, intentional, and quiet. They are the auditory equivalent of the slow blink, small, stable assurances that the home is secure and the environment is stable. The predictable repetition of these soft sounds becomes a background hum, a stable layer of domestic peace over the anxieties of the world. The soft, stable thud of the paws, the gentle click of the claws, and the quiet, rhythmic murr. These low-volume, stable sounds are always reassuring. 32nd chapter. The stable wildness within the domestic frame. One of the deepest paradoxes of the cat's stable domestication is the enduring presence of its wildness, a core stability that offers the human a vital connection to nature's untamed rhythm. The cat is both entirely domestic and entirely wild, and this stable duality is profoundly calming. This stable wildness manifests in predictable, quiet bursts of energy. The sudden zoomies, the brief, inexplicable dash across the floor, are not chaos. They are a stable, contained expression of primal energy, a necessary release of the predatory instinct that remains untouched by thousands of years of human coexistence. The chase after the imaginary mouse, the twitch of the ear towards a distant, unidentifiable sound. These are stable, internal dialogues with the wild that the cat carries within its safe, domestic body. The cat's inherent wildness is stable because it is never directed outwards in uncontrolled aggression towards its human protector. It is a stable, safe wildness, a quiet, constant reminder that the life of instinct and nature continues, even within the most stable, human-made structure. The cat serves as a quiet intermediary, allowing the human to observe the stable beauty of the predatory animal without the risk. The stable flash of primal energy, the quiet, contained hunt directed at a piece of string, and the enduring, stable connection to nature's rhythm. This paradox is calming your anxious thoughts. The stability of the wildness itself is lulling you into a deep, unwavering rest. 33rd chapter. The stable lifespan and the quiet cycle of generations. The cat's relatively predictable lifespan compared to the human's is a subtle, stable element of the emotional contract that helps the human understand and accept the stable cycle of life and loss. This quiet cycle of generations provides a predictable rhythm of emotional investment and release. For the human, the cat's stable presence over a decade or two offers a fixed measure of time. The cat is a quiet, living clock, marking the passage of human life through its own stable, visible phases: the energetic kitten, the long, stable years of adulthood, and the slow, graceful stillness of old age. This stable rhythm of growth and decline is a gentle, reoccurring lesson in the constancy of change. The stable cycle teaches a quiet form of acceptance. The emotional investment is intense, but the predictable end encourages a meditative approach to the passage of time. The stable knowledge that the cat's time is a fixed, precious period forces the human to appreciate the current moment of stillness and companionship
without the anxiety of endless duration. The cycle is stable, and the grief, while real, is contained within a predictable, quiet structure. The stable duration of the cat's life, the predictable rhythm of its gentle aging, and the quiet acceptance of the life cycle. These elements of stable time are calming your fears about the future. You are sinking into a deep, quiet space of gentle acceptance and rest.